The Gauteng Provincial Community Safety chairperson, Dr Bandile Masuku, joins us now for more on this. Dr Masuku, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. Decisive action is what you're calling for. It's very difficult to imagine what decisive action could be without sounding as if you've concluded on what the outcome of this matter in court is going to be.
Good evening, and good evening to your viewers. Yes, I don't think we have concluded, but I think it's there for all of us to see the manner in which the school environment was disrespected and violated by Paseka Mboro and his crew. And it's something that makes us more angry, is that you put lives of children at danger, and you also threaten other, our teachers who are doing quite well in their schools, but we also threaten them with death. So this is just a case where, the NPA, the police must act, and they must act decisively so that they make an example, so that people don't have to repeat and do what we have seen in Matshidiso Primary School.
Yeah. As a committee, I mean, of course, there are touch points to the story. One is the one that you've already highlighted, the behavior of the perpetrator, which is deplorable by any standard, if you want. And it is one aspect, of course, that law enforcement needs to deal with. It is the other question in terms of community safety, of the safety of our schools. How is the committee reflecting on that? Because there should be a degree of protection that prevents such individuals from accessing our places of education.
Yeah, you would recall that in the last term, the committee had undergone a study, what we call a focus intervention study, which was looking at how the school regulations are actually put in place to ensure school safety. And part of what we found in that study was that we did find that there's a lot of lapse of security, particularly in terms of entrance. There's also the issue of discipline amongst learners, but also the schools are also affected and impacted on by, the location where they find themselves in. So in areas, where there's gang-related violence and so on, you would find that those schools will also be, actually threatened, and will also suffer from that. So this is just one of the things that we've been focusing on, and the police themselves, we have called upon them to make sure that in their general functioning and daily routines, they must also include our schools and make sure that they are actually safe. And there's also a program called Adopt a Cop, type of a program which we think that the SAPS must strengthen to make sure that our schools actually become our safe haven.
Yeah. Back to the perpetrator. I mean, you think a tougher sanction to the pastor would send the right kind of message to the community and maybe other would-be perpetrators who are thinking of such?
Yes, I think we should make an example, and we should start somewhere, and I think in the context of a country where we have high levels of crime, and we see some of these things happening, particularly by people who are known and who are supposed to be leaders in communities, then it becomes important that the law must also, and the justice system must not have eyes. It must deal with them decisively, and it must take action, and it must be speedily. Because the other problem with our justice system is just how long they take to conclude on the cases, which are pretty much obvious, like this one.
Yeah. I hardly think a person can wake up on a Tuesday morning and decide to do this on a whim. It seems to me this is an individual who's been allowed to behave in such a way for a very long time, and there are those who are saying he's got very good connections with the station commander, if you like, and the police have a relationship with him, being a spiritual leader in that community. That's something that I suppose also the police would need to reflect on, to an extent, of how such individuals are allowed to have such leverage, even over police.
Remember, and I do agree with you, in that regard, that nobody does it. It means it's a habit, and I think in one of the news reports that were, going on this afternoon, one of the things is that it's not for the first time. And you see, what also makes us more enraged is that it involves children. This is part of the, the gender-based violence and also the attack on the vulnerable. And something must happen, and the SAPS leadership, in terms of the report that they will have to give to the committee, it will be about, the conduct and the allegations that are raised on how, the station command and all other police officers respond to some of the calls that were made for them to act against Pastor Mboro.
There needs to be also maybe, I suppose, a broader collaboration. There are those who are saying, one, your department, Community Safety, has not come out to condemn this. Two, Social Department has not really been active in trying to amicably resolve this matter. For example, the protection of the children being brought to a place of safety. It seems their custody, I don't know at this hour what could be, but at least when we were reporting earlier on, the custody was still with the paternal side of the family, who of course, are also involved in this challenge that we are currently dealing with. There seems to be, when it comes to this issue, a little bit of a lackluster collaboration between the departments.
Yeah, I think maybe it's something that we would have to follow it up with the MEC, of social development, and I know she's a former MEC of community safety, so she's supposed to be on point and online, to deal with this matter. But we will, as a committee, make a call on actually to her to be involved actively in the protection, in particular, of the children.
Dr. Masuku, we appreciate your time. Thank you very much for coming on this evening. That's Dr. Bandile Masuku, chairperson of the Portfolio Committee on Community Safety, and the call that they are making, of course, for a decisive action and a speedy one in resolving this particular matter.